The cold callot was past midnight in Los Angeles. The city was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes only when the parties are over and the streets are too tired to echo. Go. A cold wind moved through the empty roads like it had something to say, but didn't know who to say it to. Keanu Reeves sat alone in his kitchen. The lights were dim, the silence deep. He had just returned from a late-night shoot and was sipping lukewarm tea from a chipped cup he refused to throw away. Around him, everything was simple. No grand mansion feel, no Hollywood luxury, just wooden floors, old books, and one man who didn't want to be a star tonight. His phone buzzed. Once, then again, a name appeared on the screen. Ana de Armas. He frowned slightly, not because he didn't want to talk to her, but because it was unusual. She had never called him this late before. Never without warning, he answered. Hello? His voice was soft. Calm. On the other side. Silence. He waited then. He heard it. A breath. Shaky. Like someone trying not to cry. Anna, he asked gently. Keanu, I'm sorry I didn't know who else to call. Her voice was small, breaking. He stood up. Where are you? Outside a motel. They say there's no vacancy. My card's not working. I've been walking for hours. I feel invisible. Keanu didn't ask why she didn't have a place. He didn't ask why she hadn't told anyone. He didn't need answers. He just whispered, stay where you are. Send me your location. I'm coming. Ana sat on the curb outside a gas station. Her suitcase was beside her, bruised and muddy. She had pulled her hoodie tight over her head, not to block the wind, but to hide. Not from people, from the feeling of failure. She had left a film set hours earlier. Things had gone wrong. Role she thought was hers was given to someone else. The producer said they wanted someone with less baggage. She had smiled, nodded, and walked away. But the smile cracked the moment she was alone. Her apartment lease had ended last week. She hadn't signed a new one yet. She thought she'd had time. Now, she had nothing but a suitcase, a dead phone battery, and a number she was too ashamed to dial until she had no choice. And then, a soft engine sound. A familiar black motorcycle slowed near the curb. The rider stopped, pulled off his helmet. Keanu, he didn't say anything. He just looked at her, not like someone seeing a broken person. He looked at her like she was real, like she mattered, like she didn't need to pretend. She opened her mouth to speak, but he raised a hand gently. You're safe now, he said. She stood, eyes full, nodded. He took her bag and placed it in the side compartment. She climbed behind him, her arms hesitant around his waist. Then, slowly, she tightened her grip as they drove through the night. She pressed her head against his back, the wind drying her tears before they could fall. His home was quiet. Just like him, Anna stepped inside and paused. The place felt warm, not just the temperature, but the energy. It smelled faintly of cedar and tea. She looked around. There was a worn-out couch, a wall of books, a small plant by the window. Everything was lived in. Nothing was there to impress. Everything was there to rest. Keanu handed her a blanket and pointed to the couch. You can sleep here tonight. Take the bed if you want. I'll be in the chair. She shook her head. No, Keanu, I can't. You're not a guest, he interrupted, his voice kind. You're home. Just rest. And she did. For the first time in days, she slept. In the early hours of morning, Anna woke to the sound of the kettle. Keanu was in the kitchen again. The same chipped mug in his hand. He looked up and smiled. You slept. She nodded. Thank you. I don't know how to. He shook his head. You don't have to. I've been where you are, Anna. I know what it feels like to be lost and still expected to smile for cameras. Sometimes all we need, someone to not ask questions. She stared at him. This man, one of the most famous names in the world, had never worn his fame like armor. He wore it like a coat he was ready to take off at any moment. He didn't live to be admired. He lived to be kind. That morning, Anna sat on the porch, holding the tea he had made. Keanu sat beside her in silence. Birds chirped somewhere in the distance. The city was waking up. She turned to him. "Why did you come for me last night?" He smiled faintly. "Because someone once came for me. ... When I thought no one would." Then, without saying more, he got up and walked inside. She stayed there, the steam from the cup rising, her heart a little lighter. Not because her problems were gone, but because someone had seen her, heard her, who helped her without needing a reason. That was the night Ana de Armas had no place to stay, and Keanu Reeves opened his home, without a word. The morning after the sun rose slowly over Los Angeles, painting soft gold across the sky. Birds moved through the trees like they were trying to say, "Today will be better." Anna sat alone on Keanu's porch, watching light fall on the quiet world. It had been hours since she woke up. She hadn't touched her phone. She didn't want to scroll. She didn't want to explain herself to anyone. The silence felt like medicine, and in that silence, she could hear her own breathing again. Keanu stepped out, holding 2 cups of tea. He handed her one. No words, just presence. Anna looked at him. "Do you always wake up this early?" He smiled. "It's the only time the world doesn't ask for anything." She took a sip. The tea was warm, calming. Like everything in his house, simple, honest, not trying too hard. She hesitated. "Keanu, ... I didn't mean to break down like that. It's just ... Last night I felt like I was nothing." He didn't flinch. He didn't try to fix it. Instead, he nodded slowly and said, "We all feel like that sometimes. Hollywood runs on stories, but it forgets the people inside them." Anna turned her face away, but her eyes filled. "I worked so hard for that role. I memorized every line. I even changed how I speak, how I walk. And in the end, they told me I didn't fit the vision." Keanu sat down beside her. "I've been told I was too quiet, too kind, too slow," he said softly. "But none of that mattered when I started living for real, not just for the screen." Anna stared at him, double quotes, but ... "You're Keanu Reeves," she whispered. "You've done everything." He gave a gentle laugh. "I've also lost everything. That's why I know when someone else is carrying something heavy. Asterisk inside the house." Time felt different. Keanu made breakfast. Anna offered to help, but he waved her off. "Today, you just eat." She sat at the table, the wood scratched from years of quiet meals. There were no staff, no chefs, no assistants, just him. Flipping eggs like a man who'd done it 1,000 times. "This is the most human moment I've had in weeks," she said. He looked up. "Maybe that's what the world needs more of, real moments." Anna nodded. She remembered her last week, jumping from one interview to another, smiling through exhaustion, being told to add more charm, fix the accent, dress bolder. Nobody asked if she'd eaten. Nobody asked how she was feeling, but Keanu had driven across the city. For her not to save her career, but to save her. Asterisk after breakfast. Keanu offered her something unexpected. "Come with me. Where, you'll see." They drove in silence. Anna still wore the same clothes from the night before, her hair tied up loosely, no makeup. But for the first time, she didn't feel embarrassed. She felt ... seen. They arrived at a small studio, tucked away behind tall trees. Not a Hollywood studio, something different. Inside, it was peaceful. A piano sat in the middle, old but loved. Canvases leaned against the wall. One was half-painted, another had only bold colors, no shapes, just feeling. Anna turned to him. "What is this place?" "This is where I come when the world gets loud." He picked up a guitar from the corner and strummed a few soft notes. "I don't play for people, just for silence." Anna looked around, amazed. "You paint?" "I try," he smiled. "Badly." Then he reached behind a curtain and pulled out something else, a camera. Not the big digital kind, an old film camera. "This one doesn't lie," he said. "You only get 1 shot per frame, no filters, no edits." He handed it to her. "Want to try?" Anna looked at the camera like it was a piece of truth, something fragile and pure. She lifted it slowly, aimed it at him, clicked at Keanu. Didn't pose. He just sat, looking away, like he was lost in a thought too deep for words. Anna stared at the picture, developing in her hand, black and white, raw, full of quiet strength. Asterisk, asterisk, they spent hours in the studio. No lines. Just two people remembering. What it felt like to be human. Keanu showed her how to play a few chords. She painted a line, across a canvas, and called it starting over. They laughed. Not loud, but real. And when the day ended, Keanu offered something else. Stay as long as you want. Not because you need a place, but because you deserve peace. Anna swallowed hard. No one had ever said something like that to her. Not without wanting something in return, but Keanu didn't want anything, just her presence, her healing, her return to herself. Asterisk, asterisk, that night. Anna stood by the window in Keanu's home. The stars were out. The city lights didn't dim them. She whispered, "Thank you." Into the dark, Keanu was already asleep. Curled up in his reading chair, she looked at him for a long time. Not the actor, not the icon, just a man. A kind man who saw her fall and chose to stay. Asterisk, asterisk. That was the morning Anna thought she was broken, and Keanu gave her a reason to believe again. The hidden scars next morning came with soft rain. It tapped gently on the windows of Keanu's home, like nature itself was whispering, "Slow down." And woke up, wrapped in the same blanket he had handed her 2 nights ago.
That's something.
Inside her had shifted. She was no longer cold, no longer running, and for the first time in days, she wasn't afraid to open her eyes. Keanu was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with a notebook in front of him. Not a phone, not a script, just a pen and a quiet thought. Anna watched him from the doorway. "What are you writing?" she asked. He smiled, closing the notebook gently. "Just thoughts, memories, reminders of who I don't want to become." She walked in slowly and sat across from him. "What do you mean?" He took a breath. Sometimes the world tries to turn you into someone you're not. Louder, colder, harder. But I've lost too much in my life to let that happen. So I write to stay soft. Anna looked at him carefully. "You always seem so calm, like nothing ever touches you." He met her eyes. "I only seem calm because I've already drowned once." Asterisk, asterisk. It was the first time Keanu spoke about his pain. His. The voice didn't shake, but it carried weight. "I lost people I loved. Not to rumors or betrayal, but to time, to fate, to the kind of sorrow that doesn't have a face. I kept moving because I didn't know what else to do." Anna listened in silence. "But something strange happened," he continued. "The more I hurt, the more I began to notice other people's pain. Like a signal. It's like we were speaking quiet language." He paused, looking at her gently. "I saw that in you the other night. That's why I came." Anna lowered her eyes. "I didn't want anyone to see me like that. But that's when you're most real," Keanu said. "When you're not pretending." Asterisk, asterisk. They spent the day inside. The rain never stopped. Keanu lit a small fire in the fireplace. Anna curled up beside it with a book. He handed her a story about courage that didn't come from strength, but from survival. Hours passed without screens, without noise, just warmth, just truth. Later, as they sat on the floor sharing fruit and tea, Anna asked him something she had never asked anyone. "What's your biggest regret?" He didn't answer immediately. Then he whispered, "Waiting too long to forgive myself." Anna froze. She felt those words in her chest. Deep, sharp, true. Double quotes. "I keep thinking it's my fault," she admitted. "Every time something goes wrong. Roll, I lose. Every relationship that falls apart." Keanu leaned in just slightly. "It's not your fault. It's not who you are. It's just part of the storm." Anna's eyes filled again, but she didn't look away this time. She let the tears fall, not from shame, but from release. "I don't want to feel like this forever," she said quietly. "Then don't," he replied. "Stay here. Not forever. Just until you remember how strong you already are. Asterisk, asterisk, as the rain poured outside, Keanu brought out a box. Inside it were photos, not of fame, not of red carpets, but of faces, places, lost moments. This one, he said, holding up a photo, was my best friend. We used to ride every Sunday. No destination, just motion. He died too young. Anna looked at the photo. The man beside Keanu was laughing so hard his eyes were shut. You still ride? She asked. Keanu smiled. Every Sunday. Can I come? Next time? Yes, he said without hesitation. You're part of the story now. Asterisk, asterisk, before bed, Anna stood in the hallway, staring at her reflection in the mirror. No makeup, no lights, just her. She didn't see weakness. Anymore? She saw survival. She saw a woman who had cried without hiding, who had spoken without shame, who had been seen and still accepted. And she saw the reason why Keanu, his home, wasn't big, his words weren't loud, but his kindness filled every room like sunlight. Asterisk, asterisk, that was the day Anna let go of her silence, and Keanu gave her a space to heal. Without ever asking for anything back, the Sunday ridith rain had stopped. The clouds opened just enough for the sun to peek through. As if the sky itself had decided Anna deserved some light, Keanu stood at the edge of his driveway, 2 helmets in hand, beside his old black motorcycle. The same one he rode the night he found her. Anna stepped outside slowly. Her hair was tied back. She wore one of Keanu's extra jackets, slightly big, but warm. She held the helmet he gave her like it was something sacred. Are you sure about this? She asked. Keanu smiled gently. You said you wanted to come? Anna nodded. I did. I just haven't ridden before. Then you're about to learn how to trust. She looked into his eyes. There was no pressure, no fear, just quiet belief. And that's when she knew she could do this. Asterisk, asterisk, the ride started slow. Keanu let the engine hum gently as they left the city streets behind. Anna held on to him, not because she was scared, but because she wanted to feel grounded. The wind brushed her face like a soft hand. The trees swayed. The road stretched ahead like a promise. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. For miles, they simply existed, 2 souls escaping the noise, the past, the expectations. Anna felt her chest rise freely for the first time in weeks. Her breath matched the rhythm of the ride. Her fears didn't disappear, but they grew quieter. Asterisk, asterisk, they reached a clearing outside the city, a wide, open space where the grass moved like waves and the sky felt closer. Keanu stopped the bike and got off. Anna followed, her legs shaky but her eyes bright. What is this place? She asked. A place I only bring people I trust, he replied. She turned slowly, taking it in. There was nothing here, no cameras, no reporters, no fans. And yet, it felt full of peace, full of meaning. They sat side by side on a fallen tree. Silence settled again, but this time it felt like music. Anna turned to him. I haven't felt this calm in a long time. Sometimes, Keanu said, you have to ride far enough to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Asterisk. Asterisk. Anna picked up a small rock and held it in her hand. What do you see when you look at me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Keanu didn't hesitate. I see a fighter. I see a woman who didn't give up, even when she could have. She looked down, her fingers tightening around the rock. But what if I'm still lost? Keanu placed his hand gently on her shoulder, then stay lost for a while. Sometimes we find the truth when we're not chasing it. Asterisk, asterisk, they stayed there for hours. They talked about their first auditions, about rejection, about moments when they thought they weren't enough. Anna told him about her childhood in Cuba, the tiny house, the noise, the laughter, and the dreams too. Big for such a small place. Keanu listened like her story was a treasure. He told her about loneliness, how success never cured it, how grief shaped him more than any role. And in those stories they found something rare, not just understanding, but connection. Asterisk, asterisk, as the sun began to set. Keanu pulled something from his jacket pocket, A small stone pendant on a leather string. "This belonged to someone I loved," he said quietly. "I kept it for years, but I think maybe now it's time to pass it on." Anna stared at him, unsure. "I can't take that." "You already did," he said, placing it around her neck. "You carry a kind of light she once had, and now it belongs to you." Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "But—" he shook his head. "Don't thank me for seeing you. Thank yourself for surviving long enough to be seen." Asterisk, asterisk, they rode back in silence. But this time, Anna didn't hold on out of fear. She held on because she didn't want to forget the feeling of flying. Asterisk, asterisk, back at his home. She stood at the doorway, the pendant still around her neck. Keanu turned to her. "You're stronger than you think, Anna." She smiled softly. "I know, because you reminded me." Asterisk, asterisk, that was the Sunday. Anna faced her fears, and Keanu gave her the courage to ride into herself. The invitation the next morning was still and golden. Sunlight poured into Keanu's kitchen like a quiet blessing. The smell of toast and coffee filled the air. Anna sat at the table with a sketchbook in front of her, one Keanu had left for her. Without a word on the first page, he had written a single sentence: "You are allowed to begin again." She traced the words with her fingers. Something in her chest loosened, like an old knot slowly coming undone. Keanu entered the kitchen, carrying 2 mugs. "I made the coffee stronger today," he said with a small grin. She smiled back. "I think I'm strong enough to handle it." Now, they both laughed, not loud, but full, real, like they shared a secret the world couldn't steal. Asterisk, asterisk, just after breakfast. Anna's phone buzzed for the first time in 2 days. She looked at it, hesitating. Keanu noticed. "You don't have to answer," he said softly. "I know," she replied, "but maybe I should." She picked up the phone. It was her manager. A new offer had come in. A major director wanted to meet. Her Keanu didn't react. He simply waited, quiet and steady, like he always did. "They said they'll send a car," Anna said slowly, unsure. "They want me there this evening. Some Hollywood event, meet and greet." Keanu nodded. "Do you want to go?" Anna stared at the screen. Her fingers trembled slightly. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Not of the people, but of becoming that version of me again, the one who smiles through fear, who agrees to things just to feel seen." Keanu walked closer and spoke gently. "Double quotes, then go as this version of you, the one who knows her worth doesn't depend on applause." Anna looked up, eyes wide. "Will you come with me?" Keanu didn't answer immediately then. With a soft smile, he said, "Only if you want me there, not as your shield, but as your friend." She nodded. Double quotes, then yes. "I want you there." Asterisk, asterisk. They didn't dress up much. Anna wore a simple black dress she found in her suitcase. Her makeup was minimal. Number red lipstick. No loud colors. Just her. Keanu wore a plain black shirt and jeans. No one would expect a superstar to arrive like this, but that was exactly the point. Asterisk, asterisk when they arrived. The cameras were already flashing. People turned. Paparazzi leaned forward. But something shifted the moment they walked in together, side by side, not holding hands, not making a show. Just standing in quiet respect for each other. Anna didn't shrink Keanu. No, didn't lead. They moved as equals, as 2 souls who had seen too much and still chose kindness. Asterisk, asterisk, inside the event. A few heads turned. A producer whispered, "She brought Keanu Reeves." Someone else muttered, "He never comes to these." But Anna didn't hear them, not really, because she was focused on the moment. And in that moment, she wasn't trying to impress, she was simply being, and that was enough. Asterisk, asterisk as the evening went. The director she had come to meet approached her. He extended his hand, smiling. "Anna, we've heard so much about you. Your presence is ... different tonight. It's powerful." She shook his hand gently. "Thank you. I've been learning how to be myself again." He glanced toward Keanu, then back to her. "You're surrounded by good people, I see." Anna nodded. Yes. One in particular? Asterisk, asterisk, Keanu stood nearby, leaning quietly against a wall. Observing, he didn't smile for cameras. He didn't pose. He just watched. But he watched like someone who cared. Like someone who wasn't there for the lights. But for her. Asterisk, asterisk, later that night. As they left, Anna turned to him. Why did you really come tonight? Keanu looked at her for a long moment. Because healing isn't about hiding, it's about showing up. Even when you're scared. She swallowed hard. I was scared. He nodded. But you came anyway. That's strength. Asterisk, asterisk. They reached his home just after midnight. Anna stepped out of the car slowly. She looked up at the stars. This place, she said, it saved me. Keanu didn't correct her, but in his mind he thought, no, you saved yourself. I just left the door open. Asterisk, asterisk, that was the night. Anna faced the crowd again, and Keanu didn't stand in front of her. He stood beside her. The door that stayed open had been a week since the event. A week since Anna de Armas stepped into a room that once terrified her and walked out with her head high. The calls hadn't stopped since daughters, interviews, messages, some from people who had ignored her just days ago. But Anna wasn't rushing anymore. She didn't need noise to feel important. She didn't need permission to exist. She had found something. It's more valuable than applause. She had found peace. Asterisk, asterisk, Keanu sat on the back porch. As always, a cup of tea in his hands. Anna joined him quietly. Holding her own cup, the chipped one he always used. He smiled when he saw it. You're stealing my favorite mug, he said playfully. She shrugged. You gave me a safe place. I figured you wouldn't mind giving me a cup too. He laughed. Fair trade. They sat in silence, watching the sun melt behind the trees. Keanu, she said suddenly, do you think I should move back into my own place? He looked at her with calm eyes. Only if you're moving towards something, not just away from here. She thought about it. Double quotes. I think I'm ready. He nodded slowly. Then I'll help you pack. You're not sad? Asked he, shook his head gently.
Ow.
When someone heals in your home, you don't hold them back. You open the door again and let them walk into the world. Asterisk, asterisk, the next day. Anna stood in the middle of her new apartment. It wasn't fancy, but it had light and air, and room to breathe. Keanu placed the last box on the floor and looked around. I like it, he said. Me too, she replied. Like mine. They stood in the quiet for a moment. Then Anna reached into her bag and pulled out the pendant he had given her on the Sunday ride. The small stone tied to leather, she held it out to him, I think. It should stay with you. But he shook his head. It's yours now, are you sure? You kept the light alive. That's all it was ever meant to do. Asterisk, asterisk, before he left, Anna walked him to the door. Keanu, she said softly, I don't know how to thank you. He looked at her. Then don't. Just promise me one thing. Anything. When you see someone sitting alone on a curb, or standing in the rain, or looking down in a crowded room, go to them. Listen to them. Open the door. Anna nodded, tears forming again, not out of sadness, but out of deep, overwhelming gratitude. Asterisk, asterisk, weeks passed. Anna's life moved forward, but not in the same direction. She didn't rush into the first script. Thrown at her, she waited for a story that felt true, and when she found one, a small, independent film about healing and quiet strength, she said yes, not for fame, not for attention, but because the story felt like her, because the character felt like who she had become. Asterisk, asterisk. On opening night, as the crowd gathered, someone sat quietly. In the back row, black shirt, jeans, simple, silent, Keanu Reeves. He didn't come to be seen, he came to see. When Anna stepped on stage after the screening, the audience stood and clapped. But her eyes searched only one face in the crowd. He smiled, nodded, and left before the lights came up. Asterisk, asterisk. Later that night, She found a note at her door. You did it. You stood tall. The world noticed, but more importantly, you noticed yourself. The door will always be open. She pressed the note to her chest, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she needed to prove anything to anyone, because someone had believed in her. When she didn't believe in herself, and that had changed everything. That was the moment Anna didn't just remember who she was. She finally understood who she was becoming, and all because on the night she had no place to stay, Keanu Reeves opened his home, without a word.